Alright, what's up guys? So it's been about a week since I made a video. I didn't make a video this past week and last weekend because I put shifter cables in the 3000 and they didn't work. So what my issue was, this cable right here that goes in and out when the shifter moves back and forth, which pretty much controls going in like first, second, third, fourth, fifth, reverse, whatnot. It doesn't have an adjuster right here like this cable does. So now the cables that came out of my car, as you can see, they both have an adjuster. One on the back and forth cable, and one on the up and down cable. So that was the issue that I ran into. I found out that the second gens have different cables than first gens. So I went out after installing this whole assembly, which I'll throw some clips in right here for you 3000 guys.
So on the engine bay side, I took out all the intercooler piping that was in the way and the pre-turbo pipes down here.
And if you see down here, we have the points where the shifter cables attach to the transmission. So this is obviously the one that broke. And in my first drift event video, I showed you guys the other end of it that came out of that little hole. And then this is the one that was still good, that hooked up right here. So these cables just slide on and control the trans. So then there's clips here that I had to take off to get the cables disconnected. They're like these little holder C-clips. And now they're basically free, and I can move them in and out inside the car, and now I just kind of have to just pull them through.
So inside the car, I took out the center console. You guys can look up on the forum how to replace that or pull that out, because if you're working with a stock vehicle, it's not going to be the same as mine, because mine was mounted a little bit differently.
Furthermore, in here, I had to take the hydro off and just kind of put that to the side, and everything is out. So I have my switch panels in here. This is what they look like from the back side for all my controls of everything, and the relay panel. So all that wiring is kind of just draped off to the side. My radio wiring draped off to the side. And I'm actually kind of hyped that I'm doing this because I can finally plug my antenna in. I forgot to plug it in like last year. Yeah, last year when I put my whole dash back together, forgot to plug the antenna in, and it's such a pain just to do it. So I'll be able to have radio again instead of just having to use the aux. All right, so here's the shifter assembly pulled out of the car. I'm gonna pull the shifter extender off, pull these washers off to help hold my shift boot on. So when you slide the cables back through the firewall, line them up properly here, and you slide these little C-clips back in when they're back in the bracket. Then you just slide them over their respective pins. So I went out and I found the proper cables from another 92 twin turbo car that was local, and I put them in the car. So this here is in the car now with the proper cables, with an adjustment right here, and I'll be able to hook these up to the shifter and all that, and it should work ideally. So what I'm kind of mad that I didn't do is I replaced both cables. This is the cable that broke on the track, not this one. So now I replaced both, and I'm running into the issue of adjusting. So with both cables fully compressed on the adjuster, I can, anything but that, I can't get into first gear. Now with them fully compressed, I can get into all my gears except for first, but if I pump the clutch a couple times, I can get into first gear, and that's fine. But then if I like come off the clutch and then go to second and go back to first, sometimes it doesn't always grab into first. Now I haven't tried it while driving the car, because I feel like just rolling back and forth in the garage is a little different than actually driving the car in a real world scenario. So I'm gonna basically set it up like that and take it out for a drive and see if it works. I also got this short shifter from Jesse, who I had bought the original cables from, and it's a great short shifter and everything. And there goes the pin for it. It's a great short shifter, and I know a lot of guys on the forums like this shifter, but after putting it in and seeing how it felt on the car, I don't actually like it. So my reasoning behind that is, in the V I have the Hurst shifter, and it like tightened up all the shifts. I mean, yeah, it does the job as a short shifter. It tightens up the throw, shortens up the throw and all that. But after putting it in here and kind of feeling how it felt in this car, I don't think the short shifter is for me. I kind of actually like it without the short shifter and having the longer throw. So I think I'm going to be throwing that back up on the page and just try and get the money back that I spent for it, because I thought I would really like a short shifter in this car, but after having it in and kind of experiencing it, wasn't too crazy about it. So stock shifter went back in, and that's what we're going to go with. All right guys, so now what I'm going to do is finish making some adjustments to the bracket down here that holds the shifter cables in place, and try to adjust it a little bit more and see if I can. And then basically the only thing I can do from there is tighten everything back up, back the car out of the driveway or into the driveway, and then see if I can get into first gear every time. If not, I think I might just try and like bleed the clutch more, because I don't know if like at the track, if it could have, I don't even know if the clutch fluid could have gotten hot and air come up in the line. I don't really know, but bleeding the clutch I don't think will hurt. I mean, my reservoir doesn't lose fluid and is always full. Master and Slave are 2 years old, but I'm gonna see if I can get something to work here today. Alright guys, so this is what I'm talking about as far as the bracket goes. Let me get my camera set here. Okay, so this is the cable that goes forward and back. So it goes like first, second, third, fourth. This is the cable that goes up and down to allow it to select whether it be first and second, third and fourth, and whatnot. So this bracket right here has 2 bolt holes here and here. So this bracket needs to be shifted forward. So the issue I'm running into is when the bracket is shifted forward and this bolt hole lines up with here and this bolt hole lines up with here, I can't move the cables at all. And like, it's really weird. Why? I don't know. It won't let me move the cables forward and backward on the shifter. So, and it's hard to explain on the forums like what this issue is without a video, but if any of the 3000 GT guys watching could provide any insight to it, I don't get why when this bracket's lined up, the cables don't move. And with my last set of cables, the set that actually broke at the track, it was like this too. I drove the car for like 3 years with the bracket set up like this. So if anyone has any suggestions on how to correct this, let me know in the comments, and I'll see if I can put it into effect. But now that everything is hooked up with that bracket offset how it technically isn't supposed to be, I'm gonna go ahead and hook up all the intercooler pipes, tighten everything back down, and get it all back together. Alright guys, so I just tested it. Car's going into first gear, car's going into second, third, fourth, fifth, and is not going into reverse. So that's good enough for me for today, because I'll be able to move it out of push it out of the garage and then drive it back in. I want to see if I have more space, because I'm like, when I put it into gear, I move forward like 3 inches and then let off just to make sure the gear works. So once I can play with it a little more, I think this one right here, I'll have to adjust a little bit more to be able to have it find reverse, but it's kind of just a trial and error game right now. So now what I'm going to do is clean up the mess of wiring. It's not really a mess, it's an organized mess, but I'm going to zip tie some stuff together just to make it less kind of rat nesty when I have to pull the dash out. It's just like, it'll be like one solid group of wiring that I can pull out. And then I'll have to move the center console and mount it back in. I kind of like it without the center console, and I know it would be so much easier to mount the handbrake to the drive shaft tunnel if I didn't have the center console on the car, but The downside is that the center console has the whole middle section that houses the radio, all my switches and things like that. So like I really can't fully get away from having the center console. So I think the call is going to be that center console is getting cut up, because I was looking online, and if I ever want to put a factory one back in, they're really easy to find in that gray color. So center console is going to get cut up once we get a solution made for the handbrake to be mounted to the drive shaft tunnel with a welded up box. So the car is finally basically fixed from club loose, the reverse issue. I'll figure out once I can move the car out of the driveway and have some more room to mess with it. But the vinyl wrap has come a long way so far. The only panels that I have left to do are the whole passenger door, the side skirts on both sides, front left fender, and then the bumpers. Really, I still have the blisters on the hood, but like they're small things that don't take much time to do. So the vinyl wrap's finally getting there, and I'm really happy how far that's come in such little time. But then my plan this winter is going to be cleaning up the engine bay and making the engine bay look more presentable like it was about a year ago today when I did the whole wire tuck. And clean it all up in case we have the opportunity this year to go back to the Philly Auto Show. So those of you guys that are local, last year the car was in the Philly Auto Show, and I got a lot of exposure. It was really cool. People liked the car because it's a 3000 GT, and you don't typically see those anymore, especially not on their way to the junkyard. So those of you guys that are local to the Philly area and that go to the Philly Auto Show every year, stay tuned, because I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that I can get back into it this year and I get invited once again. An update on Steph's truck. The trans was pulled on Wednesday, and my buddy Bill went to go start rebuilding it, and we pulled it apart. He noticed that the trans had some like homemade shift kit in it, and the torque converter was actually done in 2014 by the previous owner. That's what failed and kind of took the trans with it. So the torque converter they used was obviously a crappy one, but the trans is getting some upgraded parts, a bigger cooler, so just things that'll make the transmission be able to handle towing the 3000 better and be able to just handle driving with bigger tires in general. Before I wrap up this video, I just want to let you guys know I run a blog called StanceCoalition.com. We do a lot of coverage on cars and things like that, so I'm going to put the Instagram down below, and I also relaunched a store for the blog. We have a couple stickers on there right now. I'm going to try and add some more stuff on there. Maybe today or coming up, there'll be some more stuff trickling in on there, so I'll mention that in my videos. But we have our Send It stickers, which I'll put a picture of right here, and we have the regular Stance Co. 8-inch stickers I'll put right here. And then make sure to check that link too down below, because it's just stuff that I have for Stance Co. to rep Stance Co. and it helps support this project and the things I'm doing with this car. So I really appreciate any orders and purchases from you guys, because it's definitely, every dollar helps, and I don't have sponsors and things like that, so this car all comes out of my pocket. There's no help when it comes down to it, like some of the bigger builds and things that you see out there. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and remember to subscribe to the channel for all future videos, and do me a favor, if you want to see the 3000 shred at a drift event soon, hit the like button. I want to try and get this thing back on track if it's going to be feasible before the end of the year and before winter hits, but I don't know if we're going to be able to make it happen just with the Trailblazer and being able to afford an event and things like that. So hit the like button down there, guys, and I'm going to try my best to make it to some kind of drift event before the end of this year. And until then, I will see you next time.